Hello, and welcome to week 2 of Putting the Pop in Information Literacy. In week 1, we identified the problem that this course is addressing, which is that information literacy sessions can be boring. And if students aren't engaged, they aren't retaining the information. So this week, we want to present some solutions in the form of 3 pop culture themes we have used with success in our own information literacy sessions. The objectives for this week, first, to introduce you to these 3 themes and how they can be used in library instruction. And second, the assignment for this week has you exploring some topics and hopefully having you identify 2 to 3 pop culture themes you are interested in trying. So those are the objectives for this week. So why use pop culture at all? Well, first of all, it's more fun. It's more fun to create a lesson and present a lesson that is based on a pop culture theme, and it's more fun for students. And they're often very surprised when the librarian comes in and starts talking about zombies. It makes the topics more engaging and students are more responsive. And they're more responsive partly because of the creative approach, but also because we're doing it in a language they understand. When we talk about zombies or we talk about social media as a framework for information literacy, we're speaking a language that they're much more familiar with than if we just go in and start talking about faceted search in databases. It enhances connections between what they already know and what we are trying to teach them. So what we want to share becomes more clear when framed in a context they enjoy and that they understand. And it makes information literacy concepts more retainable. Our students know stuff. But they don't necessarily know how to apply it to research. For example, they know what faceted search is in theory. They use it when shopping online or when browsing YouTube for the perfect videos. But by just throwing out a phrase like faceted search, they give you a blank stare. So by applying things like online shopping to research, suddenly they're forming this connection and it's much more retainable when framed in this language they understand. So the rest of this presentation, I will be presenting 3 pop culture themes and how they might be embedded into information literacy: zombies, reality dating shows like The Bachelor, and social media. So for this week, we're just giving you a brief introduction into how each of these might be an overall framework for information literacy, but we'll build on each of these as the weeks continue. So, for example, next week we will be exploring these same 3 themes and how they might be applied to instruction on searching databases. So for this week, it's just sort of a framework and brief introduction. So first off, we have zombies. So for this theme, we often go into the classroom and just announce that the world has been overrun with the undead. And we frame information literacy instruction in the context of life or death and world-saving research. Sometimes we say that the government has created a task force of all the students in the class and they have to find quality research on their topic to give to the government to save the world. The second theme is The Bachelor, and under this theme we are often talking a lot about evaluation. How are you finding that resource that is the perfect match for your research? So students understand this because they live in a world that is full of developing relationships and often dating. So it's about relevant searching, finding that perfect source when there's tons and tons of sources to be found. And the third is social media, which isn't necessarily a pop culture theme, but it's certainly something that students are heavily engaged with and very familiar with. So under this theme, you're talking about research in terms of Facebook or Twitter, like how is searching a database like searching in Facebook? And you create activities that draw correlations between research and social media sites that students already use. So for this week, your tasks are some readings on these 3 themes, and also there's a bonus video lesson. We thought it might be interesting for you to hear from Dawn directly about the zombie theme that she developed. So there's a video posted called "Zombies, Are You Kidding Me?" in which she talks about her initial idea to use zombies in the classroom and sort of the trial and error process and what worked and what didn't. The discussion for this week, we'd like you to think about what hesitations you might have about using pop culture. Have you used pop culture in information literacy sessions before? Did it work? What went well, what didn't? And what strengths and limitations do you see for using pop culture in instruction at this point in the course? And the assignment for this week is called Feeling the Pulse. So it's important to choose a theme that intersects with your passions, but that students are aware of. So for example, you might be super passionate about the Golden Girls, but your students may not have heard of them. So to figure out where your own interests might intersect with those of your students, we'd like you to spend some time thinking about your target audience. So who do you work with? Is it community members? Is it faculty? Is it undergrad students? Is it adult students? And then think about your own interests, and then spend some time exploring trending topics on Tumblr, Twitter, other social media sites, and try and identify some areas that might intersect and be appropriate topics to use in information literacy. And we'd like you to identify 2 to 3 of these topics and talk about those in an assignment that you'll post to the discussion board. So those are your tasks for this week. Please, if you have any questions, contact Dawn or I directly, or you can post any questions to the question form at the top of the Moodle section. So have a great week.